Hello and welcome to the video. We are going to be doing something very special today. I did a video similar to this a few weeks back and lots of people said it was very useful to them. Well, today, similar sort of thing, but even bigger and better. We're going to be looking at all of the now newly available legendary artifacts that are in the store. And currently, there are all of the 300 legendary token War Hall artifacts available for you to buy in the store. And I'm sure that many people watching this video have been carefully saving up their tokens over the last sort of few weeks, few months, and are probably now looking to spend them because, well, it's been teased for a while that all of these artifacts will become available to us, and now here we are, they are here. So without further ado, let's have a look at each of these artifacts, go through the pros and the cons for each one, look at which ones are good, look at which ones are bad, and look at which ones are sort of, you might consider them depending on what your playstyle is. So, without further ado, let's have a little look at my tier list, and before we go any further, straight away, up there in the first slot in the S tier, for me, personally, the best artifact that you can buy for 300 tokens, providing you are a Lego player, someone that is using mortar, range siege, and artillery, the British kettle drum. That is an artifact that I know many people have been waiting to get their hands on for a very long time, and so much so that myself has been waiting to get that I actually made a video very recently about purchasing that, so go and check that out. That's a little bit of fun, that video, and hopefully you will enjoy it. So first slot, British kettle drum. Why is it there? Well, if we have a little look at the British kettle drum, which I have now got in my museum, in my war hall, there it is, in all of its glory. It is there. Why is it a top tier artifact for any Lego player? Well, it's basically a perfect 5-liner for a Lego player. It's got mortar troop damage, check. Barracks troop damage, which is a unique line that only 3 artifacts in the game, including British kettle drum, have to offer. That gives increased damage to all your barracks troops, so your range siege, your helicopters, your infantry, they all benefit from that one line. Just to make this even more impressive, it's also got barracks troop hit points, which of course is going to buff all the hit points of your barracks troops, so yes please. It's got range siege damage and of course enemy defender spawn time. So without a doubt, that is a top tier artifact for anyone to put in their main. Now let's just distinguish this. In your war hall, you definitely want British kettle drum. Some of these artifacts, I might say, actually, they might be better in your showcase because there might only be 1 or 2 lines in there that you want to benefit from. But British kettle drum, as I've just said, 5 perfect lines for Lego players. If you haven't done it already and you've got 300 tokens, definitely recommend buying that one. Okay, let's go back and have a look at what the next artifact in the shop is then. So, some of these you may be familiar with. A lot of these artifacts have been around for a long time. Some of them are a bit new. However, let's get onto it then. So, Arm Reliquary of Charlemagne. Could have absolutely butchered the pronunciation of that, and I will never know. However, is it a good one? Well, it is. But there's better ones out there that you could use instead. So if you are a Lego player, this is one you may choose to use because Lego players use transports, and obviously this offers paratrooper damage and hit points, which are going to be great for your paratroopers and your transports. Besides that, the fighter damage isn't really useful for a Lego player, and the invading heavy tank damage, well, that's not useful for anyone. General's damage, we could argue that 3rd line there is okay, but really, there's better ones available for 300 tokens if you are a Lego player, which most people that might consider this probably are. So for me, the Arm Reliquary of Charlemagne, well, it's going to have to go somewhere in the middle there. It's going somewhere in the middle because there's better ones available, and really it's only got 3 lines that are great, and those are ones that you can also just get from standard war hall artifacts. So you can craft artifacts that have those lines anyway. Nothing really unique there. Whereas the British kettle drum, you can't craft artifacts that have barracks troop damage as a line. So Next artifact, we've got a lot to get through. We'll see if this is going to be maybe a complete video doing all of these, or it might end up having to be like a two-parter, maybe a three-parter. Let's see how long we go. We don't want to make it too long, so let's see how we go. So, next one, we have got what most people would consider a defensive artifact. So if you're a defensive player, this artifact many people would consider a must-have because it's got the invading barracks troop damage reduction and the invading airstrip troop damage reduction, as well as defender spawn time, which are three great lines to have. The invading factory troop damage used to be really important. Not a great deal of attack styles necessarily use factory troops anymore, so not as important. And of course, missile silo damage. God, there's a lot of tongue twisters in this. That is also a useful line. Not amazing, but still, this artifact really for defensive players, if you're looking to be a half-decent defensive player, this is one that you should definitely consider having in your lineup. So for me, Astic type 113X, we're going to put it, I think we're going to do it. I'm going to be generous because I know that it is pretty much a must-have. It's going to go up there in S tier because it's got a lot to offer and you kind of need that, especially to get the maximum reduction in attacking troop damage there, i.e. airstrip troop, barracks troop and factory troop, which by the way does cap out at minus 85%. So another thing to consider actually, if you've got close to minus 85% invading bomber damage, then you don't necessarily need to have this equipped to benefit from the invading airstrip troop damage. But I digress. Let's not get too nerdy in this video, as I will be here forever, and we don't want that. So, moving on. ASM-135 anti-satellite missile. There's not much to say about this. It is lacking, shall we say, in things that are worth having in an artifact. There's a couple of things here you might think, oh yeah, that would be good in my showcase, but this is not an artifact that you are going to put in your war hall to benefit from all of these because, well, they're quite lackluster. Airstrip troop damage, that's probably something you'd have in a showcase. Air defense damage, well, yes, you'd have that if you are a defender. So already we've got almost sort of two conflicting lines. This is like a hybrid artifact, you could say. So really not one you want to put in your not one you want to put in your war hall, but there's definitely a few in here you might decide to put in your showcase if you've got 300 tokens to spare. Personally, this would be great if it was a 100 token artifact. That's what I think. So for that reason, it can't go very high up the list. It's going to have to go in C tier. Oh, by the way, the T at the bottom isn't what most tier lists use. I've put T at the bottom because T is for trash. So anything that goes in there really is, nope, definitely not worth having. Obviously, everything else I'm going to explain and sort of try and justify. So, moving on, Battle C shield. I actually purchased this recently because this has got a very nice line in it for showcase, and for 300 tokens I sort of just justify that it's worth having, and that is the quick victory time increase here. You could purchase this and put it in your war hall and have all 5 lines, which most of them are well, no, again, it's sort of like a hybrid one, this. So personally, I think this is a great artifact to have if you've got everything else you sort of already need and you want to just like make your showcase really strong, because for your showcase you can get that quick victory time in there, or if you are a bomber player you can benefit from the bomber damage, or if you are a defensive player then well, the invading factory troop damage hit points not really good. I thought that, oh no, yeah, sorry, yeah, I'm getting myself all muddled up here. The invading recon scan duration, that is really good for defensive players. Basically means anyone using a recon on your base, the duration of that increased damage that offers will be reduced. So invading recon scan duration reduced. That's another great one to have in a showcase if you're a defensive player. So this has lots to offer for lots of different types of playstyle. So for that reason, it's a great one. It's solid, not quite S tier, but because it's got that unique quick victory time increase, am I going to put it above arm Reliquary of Charlemagne? I am, because, hey, like I said, that quick victory time is a very unique stat, whereas everything that the arm has to offer, let's just call it arm, everything that has to offer is just available in crafting anyway. So there we go. Right, we are 4 artifacts in. At this point, please give the video a like. These videos take a lot of sort of time, effort, and energy to make, so a little like goes a long way. And also, at this point as well, if you haven't done so already, please comment below what artifacts you are looking to purchase, because I genuinely find it interesting hearing what my viewers like to spend their tokens on and what it is you're going to invest in, and also whether maybe or not I influenced your decision. So there we go. Right, let's move on. And this is one here. This next one, I am also teetering on the edge, considering buying. Why? Because, let's see if I can pronounce this, Berlichingens. I think I butchered it. The iron prosthetic hand has some very unique things that you can't get from crafting, and that is transport cooldown reduction, pardon me, and also transport movement speed increase. And of course, you've got the paratrooper hit points and paratrooper damage, which are great, of course. So really, for a Lego player, if you're using your transports, which you probably are as a Lego player, this is a fantastic artifact because of the 2 unique things at the top here. And of course, it's going to buff your paratrooper hit points and damage. The enemy anti-tank gun damage, I can kind of see why that's on there, because paratroopers, they're susceptible to being one-shot by anti-tank guns. But if you've got the 85% or the minus 85% cap in your equipments already, that 5th line there, well, technically 3rd line, that's not going to do anything anyway. So this is a solid 4-line artifact with 2 unique stats plus 2 very useful ones for Lego players. So for me, I am teetering on the edge of buying this. I'm going to wait. I'm going to just think about it a little bit longer. I'm not one to make a rash decision, but I am teetering on the edge of getting that because it is a great artifact. So for that reason, we're going to put the iron prosthetic hand in A or S. It's somewhere there, isn't it? I think we can all agree it's going to be up here. Oh, hello. Let's go. Like I said, it's got unique stats. It's a 4-liner. It's going to go in S tier. It's pretty darn good. Okay, moving on. Bust of Ramesses II. Oh, Ramesses, look at that bust. Well, it goes without saying that this is a defensive player's artifact. Why is that? Well, it's got everything a defensive player would need, especially to defend against those... Oh, apologies, the phone is dinging away here. Yeah, especially against those pesky bombers that are very strong right now. So we've got increased air defense damage, lovely. Increased air defense hit points, lovely. All defensive towers hit points, lovely. And of course, invading generals hit points, yeah, that's okay. But the invading bomber damage, just another little cherry on top there. So for defensive players, this is one that you would probably consider getting if you haven't already got some other artifacts that would probably come before you get this. So am I going to do a massive tangent here? Yes, very quickly. Defensive players, for your defensive museum, let's just see if my defensive museum is here. Yes, here we go. Defensive players, the 2 you definitely want are the Maori War Club and the Abyssal Abu Simbel. This one here. You definitely need these 2 here. And then for your 3rd slot, as I mentioned earlier on, the Aztec type 113X, that is like pretty much guaranteed you're going to put it in your 3rd slot there. And then, you know, some people actually like to use 4 slots using that Hermitage Museum, and then the Ramesses one might be one that you would put in that extra slot. So, what am I trying to say here without making too much of a dog's dinner of explaining it? Well, what I'm trying to say is that Ramesses bust is like very, very good for defensive players. However, don't purchase this unless you've got the Maori War Club, the Abu Simbel, and potentially the Aztec, or you saw on my one actually I had the white sniper thing, which is only 100 tokens. So if you're on a budget, then yes, get that. But if you've got tokens coming out of your ass, then get Bust of Ramesses II. Oh, Ramesses, goodness me, you took a lot of explaining. However, hopefully that's made that, clear and hopefully a little bit more. It's going to help inform you how to make your purchase with your tokens. Oh, ding, the phone, stop, hang on. So yeah, Ramesses is going to go in, let's go A tier. Yes, because there isn't anything unique it necessarily has to offer there. Everything it has to offer you can get through crafting, but it is still a solid 4-liner. So that's my opinion. Please, if you disagree, let me know. If you agree, fantastic. Okay. Right. Caligula's Ring. Hello. So, Caligula's Ring, again, another good one for LEGO players. We got paratrooper damage, paratrooper hit points, and range siege damage. 3 great lines there for anyone using LEGO. The wall sapper damage, doesn't really you're not gonna notice that. Gorilla damage, yeah, no, we don't need that as a LEGO player. So we've got a solid 3-liner, 3.5-liner. Is it something you're gonna have in your actual war hall as a LEGO player? Well, probably not. And again, I'm going to do a little tangent here, and that is because as a LEGO player, really the artifacts that you want to have are, here we go. Well, since Showcase has arrived, it's hard to say which ones you must have because everyone's got such a different selection. You kind of got to go with what you have. But what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is that really, it's a great 3-liner artifact. If you've got other 3-liner artifacts that are worth having in there, or depending on what other stats you currently have, you may consider it. But what I'm trying to say is that the paratrooper damage is great, but not like a must-have. It's a lovely added bonus. For LEGO players, what you really want is to focus on the mortar troop damage. So for that reason, Caligula's Ring, it's good. There's a couple of things you could obviously benefit from there if you put it in your war hall. However, chances are there's better ones that probably could take its place in your war hall, and therefore you'd probably just take something off there to put in your showcase. So for that reason, Caligula's Ring, yes, you're good, but you're not amazing. I'm going to put that alongside the arm require. I'm not going to say that right. I'm going to put it next to that other arm down there because they're quite similar artifacts. They both offer paratroop damage and hit points. So, right, let's move on. Captain McConnell's Hero Assemble. This has a special place in my heart, this legendary artifact. Why? It's because it's the first one that I ever purchased with my legendary tokens. I think it was about 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more. I saved and I saved and I saved. This is back in the day, by the way, when legendary tokens were hard to come by. You actually only got like 1 a day, maybe like 2 if you were lucky. Now they're, 20 a day. It's incredible how many you can get now. But anyway, back in the day, this was the first one I purchased because I was a Commandos and Zooks player at the time. This is before I got into the game fully and understood it. I was sort of just getting into it again. And yeah, this for fighters or Commando Zook players or Commando infantry players is a fantastic artifact. And there's lots of things on here that you can also use in your showcase as well. For example, airstrip troop hit points, that applies to any airstrip troop. So you could use that in your showcase to buff your transports, your fighters, or your bombers, depending on what playstyle you have. Of course, we've got the 2 fighter damage lines there, so anyone that is just a fighter player, if there's any of those left since they were nerfed into the ground, anyone that's a fighter player, then yeah, you might use that because you've got increased fighter damage. The oil looted, I don't know why that's on there. Oil looted in a war artifact, pointless in my opinion. Would love to see that changed to something more useful. Go on, BHG. You want to make that a little bit more useful. It's time to revisit the old artifacts and tweak them slightly. Just tweak them slightly. Anyway, and then obviously up the top here we've got General's hit points and damage, which again could be a nice one to have in your showcase if you have this artifact floating around. So, Captain McConnell's Hero Ensemble. Are you worth buying? Well, if you're a fighter player, yes. If you're a Commandos and Zooks player, then yes. However, not many fighter players around, and really you want to stop using Commandos and Zooks if you're Atomic Age or higher. So I would say don't go and spend 300 tokens on this if you haven't already got everything else that you need, because it's just not really going to benefit you massively, given that the playstyles it is designed for aren't really strong currently in the game. So for that reason, although it is an artifact that has a place in my heart for breaking and popping my token virginity, it's only going to go in the middle there. I can't put it any lower. I'd feel bad doing that. It's going to go there. So that's where Captain McConnell's Hero Ensemble is going, for all the reasons I have just explained. Right, we have now got Cherrington Abraham's Tank Commander Kit. Now, this is one that I have, I think, already reviewed in the previous one that I did in the previous Marco Polo video, because it was available. So really, what's this got to offer? Not a great deal. It's got enemy defender spawn time, which you might put in your showcase. Apart from that, everything else in here, not fantastic. Personally, this should be a 100 token artifact, in my opinion. So not going to talk about it anymore. That is average at best. And so therefore, where's he gone? There he is. That's going to go. Or do I put it in C? No. Or do I? Oh, yeah, it's going to go there. I mean, it's got one line that really is going to be beneficial to most players. Let's just check. Decoy tactics, nah, not really useful. Heavy tank damage, not useful. First aid duration, really bit niche. Gorilla hit points, again, only one line that's really going to be useful there. So, yep, I'm going to stick by my decision. Moving on, Crescent Blade, 300 tokens for Crescent Blade. It's trying to do two things. It's hybrid. It's got defensive stuff and it's got offensive stuff on there. So is it worth having for 300 tokens? Not really. The enemy defender spawn time, yep, of course, if you want to increase that, which most players will want to do in their showcase, buff their enemy defender spawn time, try and get that as high as you possibly can. Then if you've got 300 tokens spare and you've got everything else you need, then yeah, get this one, because you can boost your enemy defender spawn time. If you're a defensive player, yes, you can benefit from the defender hit points or the air defense damage. But apart from that, heavy tank damage, you're not going to go putting that in your showcase. So really, you would buy this in most situations for the enemy defender spawn time, but it's 300 tokens. So, I think it's a little bit overpriced. Again, personally, I think that should be 100 tokens. And if anyone from BHG is listening, take this on board, because no one's going to really go and spend 300 tokens on that, because it's not got that much to offer. Let's put it there again, because, yeah, only like one or two lines that are worth having. And nothing unique and special. All of this you can get from crafting. So, moving on, Crocodile Mask. Again, 300 tokens for something that is, invading factory troop damage. Invading factory troop damage and invading factory troop hit points. No one really uses factory troops at the moment, and therefore those two lines are a little bit obsolete. Increased defender hit points, yeah, in a showcase for a defender, yeah, great. General's damage, yeah, it would be nice to have, but nothing incredible there. And invading general's hit points again, I don't know, really. Personally, I just think, and I'm sure you can tell from the way I'm describing it, there's just not much to offer there for 300 tokens that is going to be beneficial. If all of a sudden, factory troops become meta and everyone starts using heavy tanks again or something, then yeah, this would be great. But can't see that happening, and it's not currently happening. Therefore, Crocodile Mask, you are going to go somewhere there as well. Look. Right, okay, we're getting through, and we've done a fair few. How many is there? Oh my gosh, there is loads. Right, I think I'm going to decide right now that this is going to be at least a 2-part video. So, we'll keep going, and when we get about halfway, then we'll stop, because I'm aware that we're already nearly at half an hour here, so that's fine. Hopefully this is useful. Again, if you haven't done so already, and maybe you've skipped to this part of the video, give it a little like. This is a video that is, taking a lot of time and effort to make, and hopefully is useful and beneficial for you, and a like goes a long way. So, moving on. Chirolophosaurus skull. And again, I may have said that right, I may have said that wrong. However, let's have a look. Yes, well, It's got some great things that you might want to put in your showcase. If you're a fighter player, you're going to take the fighter damage. If you're a bomber player, which there are many of, then you're going to really want to pump up that bomber damage. You might put this in your showcase. Apart from that, though, the other 3 lines, readout damage, don't need that. Bazooka damage, no one really needs that. Machine gun infantry damage. Again, we've got 3 lines on here that aren't very useful, 2 lines, that one of which you might put in your showcase. So for that reason, the Chirosophalosaurus skull, I haven't put anything in trash yet. I can't justify trash because it's got bomber and fighter, which are useful, so it's going there. Okay, right, moving on. Da Vinci's flying machine. Again, this was one that I wanted for a long time, and finally saved up for about 6 months ago. And then shortly afterwards, fighters were nerfed into oblivion, and I wasted 300 tokens. So I'm just going to have a little moment of silence for this, because any fighter players watching, you know the pain, and I can only apologise that we can no longer be, the top tier fighter attackers that we used to be. Not that I ever was actually any good at using my fighters. However, Da Vinci's flying machine, once upon a time, a artifact that everybody wanted. Now, not so great because, well, like I said, fighters have been nerfed, not really useful that much anymore. Is it good? It is kind of good, and I don't want to put it too far down because, again, it's kind of got a little special place in my heart. So I'm going to put it alongside Captain McConnell's because it is something that's got a lot of useful lines. It's got at least 3 useful lines there, so you could put it in your war hall if you're using fighters still and benefit nicely from that. So we'll put it there. Right, moving on. Da Vinci's machine gun, 300 tokens. What have we got? Absolutely nothing that anyone really needs to have in their actual war hall. However, a couple of things here you might put in your showcase, but really you're not going to spend 300 tokens just to get a little bit of extra range siege damage, are you? You'd rather use those 300 tokens probably for something else. And everything else on here, machine gun infantry damage, machine gun infantry hit points. Unless machine gun infantry all of a sudden become the meta and everyone's using them, then this might be fantastic. But at the moment, I think we found our first artifact that's going to go in the T tier. It's going into trash because really it's got 1 line that's useful, and you'd probably spend 300 tokens on something else. Again, another artifact that would be better off being just 100 tokens, wouldn't it? I mean, look at it. That's 100 tokens, not 300. You're going to get ripped off if you buy that. Okay, right. Desert Storm PSN 8-man pack. Oh, it's for men. So, what does it have to offer? Well, it's got 2 very nice unique things here. Rally cooldown and increased rally duration. So, do we like those? Yes, we do. Might we put one of those in our showcase? More than likely, because they're unique. You can't get them anywhere else. And reducing your rally cooldown, increasing your rally duration are beneficial for all play styles. So, we like that. Do we like factory troop hit points and factory troop damage? Not really, because as I've said many times, not many people using factory troops in their army at the moment, and enemy tower damage, that's a bit mediocre, isn't it? So, do we like it? Yes. Are we going to put it in our actual war hall? Probably not. Are we going to stick one of these into our showcase? Probably, if you've got 300 tokens to spare and you really want to up your game and make your museum very nice. So, where's it going? It's going in... Ooh, it's going to go in A tier because, like I said, and I'm sure there's going to be someone that says, oh, that can't go in A tier. Well, I'm saying, personally, I think it is because it's got 2 unique things you can't get from crafting and you might use if you're really trying to perfect your museum. Okay, moving on. DomiNations game box. This only joined the game recently in the 10th anniversary. Do we like it? Well, I like the picture and I love the concept because that brings back a lot of nostalgia. Getting a PC game in a box with a little manual. Oh, that just takes me back to 1997 when I first got Age of Empires 1. Do we like this artifact for what it is though? Well, it's okay, isn't it? It's got enemy defender spawn time, which you might use in your showcase. Or if you're trying to do, something a little bit different, trying to use your generals and really buff the hell out of those, then you might put it in your war hall. Are there going to be many players that put this in their war hall? Well, there's a few people that really do take their generals' damage and hit points to the next level with their equipment, and in fact I know many players that rather than going for enemy defender spawn time on their equipment, do actually go for generals damage or generals hit points. I forget which one it is now. However, what I'm saying is there are a few players out there that do like to boost their general's stats as much as possible. So for those very few players that are playing that playstyle, this is going to be fantastic. Yes, you're going to plonk it straight into your war hall. But if you are just a Lego player, which probably most people are that are watching this, or a bomber player, then really the enemy defender spawn time. In fact, as a bomber player, you don't even need enemy defender spawn time. So, as a Lego player, you might buy this for that. So, what am I trying to say? Well, I've waffled on and on and on. It's okay. I like it, and I think the artwork's really, really cool. But am I going to put it very high up? Probably not. Probably going to put it somewhere in the middle there, because really, for 300 tokens, it's not going to boost your actual main army. It's going to boost your generals. Great. Are your generals going to win you a battle? They might clutch a few little things, but no. You need your main army doing everything that you want them to do, such as your mortars or your ranged siege, and this doesn't give you anything for that. Right, moving on. Elephant Archer Quiver. Whew, gonna make me quiver. I don't think so. Is it good? Yes, it is, because bombers are really, really strong. And how do we reduce that? Well, we go for something like this, perhaps, and put it in our showcase. Invading airstrip troop damage. Yes, please. That's quite a unique one because it decreases the damage of fighters and bombers, both of those things. Invading bomber hit points, yeah, you're going to want to reduce those. But something it's got that is quite unique is the air defense attack speed. You can't get that from crafting. You can only get it from this artifact and maybe one or two others, I can't remember. However, this is a good artifact for any defensive player wanting to up their game against bombers or fighters. And for that reason, it's something you might consider if you've got all the other defensive artifacts that I've sort of already mentioned you're probably going to need if you're going defensive. So, Elephant Archer Quiver, it's got a unique stat. It's got several other stats that are worth having. It's a solid 3-liner, and therefore, it's so hard to justify it's going to go A tier because, like I said, that increased air defense attack speed, any defender wanting to really polish their defensive museum, you're going to want the air defense attack speed because, like I said, it's unique and that's going to increase the overall DPS of your air defense towers. So we like that for defensive players. Moving on, Flamas Helmet. What a helmet. Right, do we like this? Yes, we would have loved this about 5 or 6 years ago when Commandos and Zooks were like one of the main attack styles. Do we like it now? Well, it's got some nice things that you might want to put in your showcase. It's got the increased rally duration or the enemy defender spawn time. Apart from that, guerrilla damage, guerrilla hit points, more than likely not going to be using that if you are above atomic age. Missile solo and big red button damage, are you going to want to need that? Is it worth the 300 tokens? Well, no, not really. So we'll leave that. Do we like this? Again, it's got that unique stat of the increased rally duration. So for those of you really wanting to polish your showcase, this might be something you choose to take to increase that showcase and have that unique stat in. Or you might take the enemy defender spawn time. But apart from that, probably not going to want anything else from there. So the helmet, like I said, it's got a unique stat and therefore that makes it special. It's going to go alongside the Elephant Archer Quiver because I know there's going to be people already thinking, what is he doing? How can that be an A tier and Da Vinci's flying machine only B tier? Well, like I said, it's got a unique stat and that for anyone in the position looking to polish their showcase, then it is worth having. Is that controversial? Yes. Are we going to stick with it? Yes. Comment below, please. If you want to disagree, I would love to have a constructive debate with you about that. Anyway, moving on. Gemini 8 gloves. Do we like these? Yes, we do. If you're a defensive player, again, I forgot about this. This is one that you may choose to have as like one of your main three. Okay, you're going to have Maori War Club, you're going to have Abu Simmel, and you may choose to have this, or you may choose to have the Aztec other microphone thing I mentioned earlier on. Why are you going to have this as a defensive player? Because it's got three lovely lines that defensive players are going to want. All defensive tower hit points increase, yes please. All defensive towers damage, pardon me, all defensive towers damage increase. Oh goodness me, I'm going to have some H2O. My throat's gone dry, apologies. Water break. That's better. You're not you when you're thirsty. Okay. Right, where were we? Yes, defensive players. This is like one of the main three you probably are going to want to have. One of the main 3 out of 4 that you might choose to have. So, do we like this? Yes. Where's it going? It's going somewhere up the top because it's really, really lovely for defensive players. And we're going to stick it in A tier because, yeah, it's great. We like it for defensive players. Right, moving on. Huey armament system. Many players will have purchased this a couple years ago now, back when attack helicopters were like actually a thing and half decent. Attack helicopters, sadly, since the introduction of munitions and various other reasons, attack helicopters, yes, they can clear offensive bases quite fast in World War. Are you going to be able to clear defensive bases with attack helicopters? More than likely, you're going to struggle. So, if you're an attack helicopter player and you only want to just, blow up offensive players and you want to really make your attack helicopters really, really strong, then of course you're going to have this because it offers a lot of boosts for attack helicopter players. Damage, hit points, and it's got the lovely all enemy defensive towers damage reduction there as well. Unless you are a attack helicopter player, you're not going to use this. And are attack helicopters strong? Well, they're sort of in the middle somewhere. Like I said, you're not going to be killing 3D defensive players as an attack helicopter player, unless of course you are absolutely got every single stat as max as you possibly can. So, and obviously using a lot of premium troop tactics. What am I trying to say? Attack helicopters, they're sort of mediocre, so this kind of therefore makes this sort of mediocre. So where are we going to put Huey armament system? Well, we are going to put it somewhere up here. Hello. It's good, but it's not great because of all the things I've just said. We'll put it in B tier. Okay, that is just under 40 minutes, and I would love to carry on. I feel like I'm on a bit of a roll here, but we're going to have to stop because I'll be here forever, and I feel like I've talked and talked and talked. So we'll pause it there, and we're going to have a part 2 of this video, which I encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already so you don't miss that, and of course like the video if you haven't done so already. We are, yes, exactly halfway through. Beautiful, look at that. What's that? 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 artifacts through out of the current 40. So I'm going to have to do another recording tomorrow, maybe the next day. It'll come soon. Part 2 coming soon then. Hopefully that was useful. Again, comment below what you think of what I've said so far. I think this looks like a very nice little tier list, and I've just realised in some ways I've kind of contradicted myself with the Gemini 8 gloves being here and Aztec being up there. Maybe I started off a little bit too generous and then got a bit meaner and meaner as we went on. Anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully it's given you some sort of idea what these artifacts have to offer, whether or not you might purchase them and use your hard-earned tokens. Stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to stop waffling and end it there. See you in part 2. Subscribe, like the video, and as always, peace out.